Why does this keep happening to me? If you find yourself asking that, you've already assumed something important, that life is happening to you. But what if that's not true? In this episode, we're cracking open the reasons so many people feel stuck in the same old patterns, especially around money, and what you can do to shift that immediately. We leave no stone unturned as we answer the question, is this punishment or preparation for my next quantum leap? Let's find out.
Welcome to Rich in Spirit.
Paid in full.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Iman.
Here, we believe you don't have to choose between spiritual growth and financial success,
Ambition and alignment.
or healing and building an abundant life.
Join us each week to quantum leap with both proven, profitable systems and the spiritual insights that will light your way through life's greatest expansions.
Let's step into success that feeds your soul.
Do you want to lead us in some deep grounding breaths, Victoria?
Yes, I would love to. So, wherever you are right now, just take a moment to come into stillness and take a deep inhale into your nose, holding at the top. Then release with a sigh. We're going to do that 2 more times. So take a deep breath into your nose, deep and slow. Hold. Exhale out. If you want to shake out your hands, add any movement, please do. And then final deep breath into the nose. Hold. And then exhale out. We have arrived.
Thank you so much. I love the shaking. That's actually been a part of my morning routine lately to help start the day with a regulated system is I do a minute of just total body shakeouts, and it's been so helpful.
That's amazing. I've been wanting to do some type of movement first thing in the morning. Like I fantasize about dancing or like doing something else, and I'm like, maybe it's just not as realistic as shaking. It just seems more likely I would do that. So it's good to know.
It's so easy for us to want to do so many things. And we're like, oh, this will be so good for me. That's why I like the shaking. And actually, I do 50 jumps, but with that, I shake because it's just so easy. Jumping 50 times takes like 30 seconds to a minute, but I can just count like 1, 2, 3, and I just get to 50. And lately, it's not just jumping, I'm adding more shakeouts. But yeah, it's very grounding. I really feel like over time, it has helped me become more centered and stable with all of the craziness going on, which we'll get to.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, and it's great for your lymphatic system too.
Yes, that's the point.
Yes, when people were getting those mini trampolines and jumping around on them, that was a thing, I feel like a few years ago. So you're
Yes,
basically doing that.
I'm doing that without the trampoline. But yeah, I think it's supposed to drain your lymphatic system. That's kind of the idea with the jumping. And it will help you with things like today's topic,
Yes.
which is something that maybe both of us are dealing with in various ways in our life. A question that maybe has come up for us and probably for listeners. Why does the universe keep punishing me? Is it and why? Why? So, Victoria, how is that showing up in your life right now?
Well, I'm going to take us back to 2025 because that was when I really started to. I mean, I've had many phases of my life where I've wondered this, but we'll focus on the most recent one. So, I am also an actor. And in 2024, I had my first national commercial booking. I was a lead in a feature film. I met my current partner. Like all these things were happening. And after a period of time that was stagnant and kind of depressing, I was like, okay, my life is perfect now. I'm going to be famous now. Everything's coming together. And then
I'm
2020.
going to be different from here.
I'm like, it's different now. I fixed it. And then 2025 came around and I'd have to go back and count, but I there were like 10, at least 10, mostly commercial, but some film jobs as well where I was like on hold for the jobs, or I was like first option, first right refuse, right? Is it first right refusal or right? I always like get the
Yeah,
words mixed up. I don't even know what it is,
it's
but one of those.
close to that.
Usually that means it's down to you and one or a few other people, or it's just you, but they're doing the paperwork and whatever. And then at the last second, I'd be like waiting to drive to wherever to get a hotel for X job, and then it was like, "Oh, we're going in a different direction." And I kept getting the same line, "We're going in a different direction." And I was like, "What is that?"
That's so frustrating.
And
What?
every yes, and every time I was just like, "Why is God doing this to me?" And I would like throw this tantrum and like throw this pity party of just like poor me and why is this happening? And yes, it's frustrating, but in the grand scheme of things, like, come on, Victoria. Like things could be like you're missing out on an acting
But it's
job.
your livelihood. It's your
Right.
livelihood and career and, decades that you've invested in making that happen.
Right. Yes. So you're right. It's totally valid for me to be frustrated. And at the same time, this has continued this year where I've had some callbacks and then, not heard anything and things of that nature. But I think it happened so much last year. The whole victim mentality around it, I just couldn't feel it anymore.
Mhm.
And I think that was the point. I think that was the lesson is I was putting my worth and just my mood, my everything into like whether or not I booked these jobs. So if I had to guess why this was the I was being punished, I would say, well, I would say it was actually more of a test or a redirection. We can get into that later of just an invitation to change my energy around acting and just around my worthiness. Like I'm already worthy. I'm already whole. I don't have to get this job. I don't have to do anything. Like I already am. So yeah, it was very rough, but grateful for it and everything's happening as it's meant to for some reason.
Do you still feel like that now that you're being punished in some sense, or you're able to look at the lesson learned and extract that lesson, and so you see that as the meaning instead of being punished?
Yeah, good question. I definitely don't see it as a punishment anymore, and I actually was released from a job recently and I gave myself honestly probably a minute to 30 seconds to just be like, and then I was like, "Okay." And I didn't even talk about it with my partner or anything. I just was like, "Okay, whatever."
That is awesome. I think that is the best sign of a regulated system. And I saw this the other day, but it's really a big buzzword going around in the healing community and in everything right now of people saying, I want to be super regulated. My nervous system is unregulated. Well, a regulated system doesn't mean that things don't bother you or you're just totally zen all day and
Right.
you're like unshaken by frustration or emotions. It means you don't let it ruin your entire day, right? So maybe before it got into your head, those disappointments and ruined your entire day or your entire week, but now it's only ruining a minute and 30 seconds. And I say ruining, but it's not ruining, it's just
Yeah.
impacting a
Yeah.
minute and 30 seconds of your day instead of the full day or the full week. And so I think that is a sign of true growth and a very well regulated system.
Yes, thank you. I think I'm getting there. But absolutely. The lesson, to summarize it, I guess, it was more of a big lesson in patience and trust. I'm more in a place now of I know it's going to happen at some point. If it doesn't, and it's not meant to, if there's someone else who did a great job and are perfect for the role and they got it, and I like let myself cry about that the other day because I'm so happy for that person who booked it. I pictured them getting this news and just being so happy, and I was like, that's gonna happen from you, and it's meant to. It's okay. And
Oh, that's beautiful.
there's always a little bit of
Yeah, I
nerves,
love
but
it.
overall, I was like,
You're human.
right. I'm like, it's good, it's good. Happy for
Well,
her.
you're feeling into that energy of having it too. So when you're grateful and actually celebrating them, you're putting yourself in the position of one day that being you and one day
Yes.
soon. You're feeling that energy of how happy it someone is to have that role. And once you're matching that frequency and that level more and more consistently, and I know you are with many of the things that you're doing, but you're expanding the pot, right?
Hmm.
So there's this nice analogy of a flower in a pot, and we can be doing all of the work, all of the breath work and the nervous system regulation and the studying and our, flowers growing bigger and bigger. But if the pot stays the same size, we can't hold everything that we're growing into, all of our expansion.
Absolutely.
And so the pot has to get bigger. And
Yes.
so I feel like the things you're doing now and those lessons of not having it was there to like make your pot bigger so that you can hold it once it comes.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Getting in the bigger pot. But how about you? How has this question been showing up? How has the universe been punishing you?
Oh, geez. The universe has been punishing me by making me live on the moon, living in crazy land, Looney Tune land, as I like to call it. Let's see. I was in an abusive marriage for, well, I was married for about a year, and it was a physically abusive marriage. So there was no question about it in my mind. But even when it first started, uh, I had doubts. It's really hard to see the forest through the trees. It's really hard to know when you're in a situation like that, that you're in a situation like that.
Yeah.
So I think for people who are dealing with emotional abuse and manipulation, it's even more challenging. Really, just any kind of entitlement and control from your partner is tough to recognize, especially when you're an empathetic person and you care about your relationship. Anyways, it took an AI to tell me that I was being abused. And then eventually it took friends like you who helped rescue me from that situation. And that was challenging in and of itself. And definitely during that experience, I had questions of why is this happening to me? Is this karma because I was a bad partner in other relationships? What is the lesson I need to learn? But
Mm.
really, I just needed to get out. And there's plenty of lessons I extracted since then, that the lessons were not over and the universe wasn't quite finished yet. So, through some crazy loopholes in the system, this person that I have an active restraining order against managed to convince the system that he should be legally allowed back in my home. And he is now living underneath me. So, when I got that news, it was definitely like, what? Why haven't we gone through this? What am I doing to bring this on myself? And I don't think that's what it is. I don't think I'm attracting this situation right now. Um, but it definitely led to some questions.
If you had to speculate why this is happening, like if you heard this happening to someone who and you had an unbiased view of the situation, what could be going on there from a spiritual standpoint?
Mm. Yes. So with the abuse, and it's funny because I actually talked to my coach about this in some sense, and she told me that it was the same energy as my previous relationship, which completely shocked me because my previous relationship was so open and there was a lot of freedom there. But she reminded me that he used to do little things that were similar, like getting very upset over how I would open and close the door. Like, no, you have to twist the door handle and then close it and then let it go and then release. What? So he wasn't beating me, but he was nitpicking these really weird little things and controlling, or not even controlling, but just annoyed by me. I don't know.
Mm.
When she said that, I did see some similarities. And the point being, why did you pick partners who had these controlling tendencies? It's really a lesson about stepping into my own power, right? So putting myself in a situation where I had to realize that I can't look to someone on the outside to take the lead and to rescue me, because I was also in the same industry as you at the time, and it's a rough industry, and you're trying to make things happen for yourself, and you feel a little bit powerless sometimes, that there's only so much you can control. And so maybe there was a piece of me that wanted a man, like the masculine energy, to come in and save the day and make me feel safe. So I picked these men that I thought were like really domineering, controlling, leadership energy. But the truth is, I have to make myself feel safe.
Mm.
And I have the power to just be stable and emotionally regulated and purposefully driven on my own. I don't need someone else to do that for me. And so I picked people that took that too far. Like the masculine energy is a good thing. And having a partner who can lead, but obviously in a balanced way, is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I picked people who took it a little bit too far, because I needed to realize that I was giving up my power to these people and to these partnerships. And so now the phase that I'm in is reclaiming that. And I do still hear that little girl's voice that's like, I want to be the princess. I want to be taken care of. I just want a man to like take care of my bills. Please step in and make it so I don't have to worry about money. Um, but I just tell that person, I am creating that for you. I'm creating that safety for you. It's okay. Like, I've got this. And so having these partners that took it too far maybe led me back to realizing that I can do it for myself.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And when you were saying the part about being rescued even from that relationship, you rescued yourself. You had
Mm,
help. Of course, we all need help. We all need other humans, but you got yourself out of that. And
thank you.
as we both know, there's so many women and people in general that end up in similar situations, unfortunately, and they need to know that's they're not trapped, and that's not, they don't just have to accept that for the rest of their life. There is a way to find the courage and know that there's people who love you and support you, and when you take that first step, they will be there.
Yeah, it does take a village. It 100% takes a village, but it starts with you. So it
Mhm.
starts within, it starts with making that decision to reach out, to tell the truth, really. For me, it started with just being honest and telling the truth. And as soon as I told one person, it snowballed so quickly, because I was able to have the support that looked at it and said, that's not right. So as soon as you're honest with yourself and then you're honest with other people, I think, God sends angels, and the universe has your back, and you are protected as soon as you can kind of open up your eyes to it on your own. It starts within.
Yeah. It's so true that as soon as you start talking about things that you've kind of kept inside to protect your partner, protect the relationship. It's like finding the balance between, yes, there are certain things I can take responsibility for and do on my own, but then it's also like I'm doing a lot here and this isn't really changing. I need to talk about this with someone else. So, yeah, I definitely have experienced that in relationships before, where as soon as I heard what I was saying and I saw people's faces and reactions, I was like, "Oh,
Oh
okay.
God.
This is bad, isn't it? This is bad."
We're really good at lying to ourselves,
Mhm.
pulling the wool over our eyes. when we don't want to see things that we don't want to see. So a nice trick I have for that is just asking for your eyes to be opened.
Mhm.
And the key is accepting it once they are open, because in this particular relationship, I did that in the beginning. I did ask, please just, when the time is right, please open my eyes. Please let me see the truth. And I did see the truth, and then I ignored it. It still comes down to you, right? You
Right.
can ask to see the truth, you can ask for the signs, you can ask for support, but it still comes down to you when and if you're willing to accept it. Yeah, if and when you are willing to accept it.
Yes, and this is so relevant to the question because the signs will get louder and louder and louder. It starts as a little whisper and then it progresses, which is it's
Yes,
tough, but it's also a blessing because it's knowing that God and your angels, your ancestors, whoever you believe in and connect with, are really looking out for you and they're really trying to get your attention and they know that there's more for you. When you're in these situations, it's for your highest good. It's not a punishment.
yes,
It's really
yes.
is like, come on, you're better than this.
Exactly. If we look at these situations that feel like punishments from the perspective of your soul's growth, our idea of growth, my idea of growth, is external accomplishments and more money and feeling good and healthy and safe and comfortable. But our soul's idea of growth might be a little bit different. Our soul wants us to reach these new levels that sometimes require giving up things and endings that we don't choose and being uncomfortable. And so if we're choosing to ignore stepping into our power, like I was, if we're choosing to ignore the feeling of being good enough on our own, then our soul might put us into situations where we can no longer ignore it. It's just not possible to do that anymore. And that can be really uncomfortable. But it's not a punishment. It comes from a place of love. It's just our understanding of love is different from our soul's understanding of love.
It's so true. It gives me solace knowing that my soul chooses everything pretty much. It's like, okay, fine. All right, I see you.
Fine.
Soul, thanks for all the interesting lessons with all the boyfriends. Something I've been moving through lately that I had a realization about today, and it's this kind of like low grade anxiety that I realized I've always felt for most of my life. Like I'll have moments where I accomplish something really profound or I'm on some crazy vacation, adventure, or some major life event is happening and I feel elated and happy and excited. But outside of that, there's this kind of low grade anxiety to do something. You need to be doing something at all times, doing something. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to be doing? And, and it puts me in this kind of freeze mode because there's so many things I could be doing for my business, for acting, for the house. But what is the thing I'm supposed to be doing that will get rid of this anxiety?
Does that come up when you're trying to relax, or it's always there?
It's kind of always there. And I think it's a protective survival mode thing that's like, you need to stay busy, you need to stay in action, or someone's going to yell at you, or you're going to die, or some very primal thing, or it's a voice from a caregiver, something. The more I give it attention or let it take up space, the less I am able to actually do things.
It
So it's very
sounds like
interesting.
you don't feel safe.
No, I think that might be part of it, and that's And I think the lesson from the universe is you need to feel this safety and this just being able to be, just being
instead of doing.
before you're given all these manifestations and things you're calling in, because otherwise it's just going to always be there. You need to be able to feel that safety in the calm, in the peace.
How do you think you create more of that feeling of safety so that you can be, so that those manifestations can show up and it won't feel like the universe is punishing you?
That's what I'm still trying to figure out.
Are there times when you have felt safe?
Yeah, but it's usually when there's something big that's distracting me or my partner's hugging me, or it's like one of those moments where either I'm distracted or it's impossible to not feel safe because I'm held or
Hell,
whatever. But I bring this up because I feel like 99% of people have that. This I need to be doing, I need to be going, I need to, and it's like, what? Like you do it and then it doesn't go away. It's still there. And is that just part of being human? Is that just something we accept? It's like a
so
motivation? I don't know.
I do think there are people, though, who have reached this level of feeling safe and who don't feel the need to do all the time.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I think it's part of being human. And yes, I think, of course, we feel the need to do more because if we're not feeling safe, if we're feeling like we have to produce more to make more money so that then we can be held, so then we don't have to worry about, everything. And with so much going on in the world, you want a safety net, right? Of course, you're trying to do so much. And of course, you don't feel safe. And yeah, if you look at it from an evolutionary standpoint, I'm sure our hunter gatherer ancestors were trying to do a lot because there was danger everywhere. And I think that again comes back to the nervous system and the flower pot. You're outgrowing the pot you're in, and your roots can't stretch beyond that. And so it doesn't feel safe. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Because if your pot isn't big enough, you're going to wilt. The idea is, how do you then create that sense of safety for yourself so you don't feel the need to do, and you don't cause yourself to wilt faster? Because if you keep growing and you won't be able to get enough water. Like on a physical human level, your health does take a toll. So how do you create that sense of safety? Because once you feel safe and once you feel held and you can create it yourself instead of these moments of just when you're distracted or just when your partner actually has you, and some of us don't have partners, so you got to be able to have you,
Yeah.
then I think everything else comes easier. And like you said, the manifestations come, I think the money comes, the relaxation comes, the health,
Yeah.
and it's getting to that place of safety. And really, I think so much comes from there. That's one of those energies that needs to be felt into and cultivated.
I think that's all very, very spot on. But it's just like at certain parts when you were talking, I was like, but I do need to do something during the day. I think, of course, I am doing things. I don't have a 9 to 5. This is what I'm doing at this exact hour. I'm always doing stuff, but
Do you need more structure?
yeah, I probably do need more structure. I got rid of social media for like a few days. Like I realized I was spending so much time scrolling and just staring at my phone when I didn't have a pressure or a deadline looming. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna kill this hour, like not consciously thinking
Mhm.
that. And so I think that will definitely help just taking a break from that and like taking my power back. But do you experience this?
So I totally get that because this last week I had more free time. I'm the same way, right? I like to be busy. And when I have a million things in my business that I want to be focusing on and I need to get off the ground, and oh, I've got to launch this. And so there's all these steps that need to happen. And then there's this, and I need to keep doing these. When I have my week completely packed full and there's no time for me to scroll, I feel really good. But I was so tired this past week from various things. And yeah, one of it being just the situation with the thing living down below me. I was so tired. And so I couldn't, my brain was foggy. It literally was a brain fog. I knew I wasn't outputting at that high level. And I had a little bit of a lull where I'm doing some research before I make my next product, and I'm releasing videos one a day and testing the market and waiting for feedback. So I can't just overload myself with projects because I'm in a waiting and hearing period. So then I was like, oh my God, I hate being unproductive. But I wasn't being unproductive, but I was so uncomfortable with, yeah, the free time. To bring it back to structure, that is one thing that can give you safety. So maybe in your situation, structuring your days where you know exactly what block is for what part of your business, that allows you to flow and it allows you to relax because you know, oh, this is the part of the day where I create videos, this is the part of the day where I do admin. And so you can just keep referring back to your schedule, referring back to your list, and that creates a sense of safety because then you know at some point you're going to get to that thing. You're not just like, wait, what am I doing? When do I do it? What do I? And so that's what I had to keep coming back to this week was, where's my timetable that I designed? What am I supposed to do during this time of day? And even if it wasn't the full output, or even if it wasn't an entire building project, I could at least have that block in my day and just kind of touch on those projects
Yeah.
and feel like, well, I did still do that one task today. So I can feel safe, I can feel comfortable, I can know that I did it, and I can relax a little bit versus just that constant low hum anxiety.
Yeah, that makes sense. But this is where I go back and forth because, okay, let's just say, God forbid, one of us got sick or like something happened where we had to take a break and not do anything. And then there's this anxiety underneath. Like, what is the root? When I'm on set or I have a bunch of breathwork clients lined up or whatever, like I am definitely my happiest. Like when I have a bunch of things going on. But in the slower seasons, when I have this low grade anxiety, I just don't want it there ever. I just want it gone. Maybe it is a structure thing and it is just a part of being a human and wanting to be productive. I don't know. I
Have
feel
you
like there's more to it.
Have you ever, in that moment when you're feeling that anxiety, paused and literally addressed it? You mentioned you wanted to do some dancing. You were like, oh, maybe in the morning I should do some dancing. When you feel that low grade anxiety, because I know you're very conscious. So, are there times where you've actually paused and you're like, okay, I'm going to tune in to that low hum, ask it what it wants, ask it what's going on, where's it coming from, or just completely shake it out or do the breathing. I mean, I imagine you have with
Oh
breathing,
yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. I think it's just very, very deep. Like I know that I have processed a lot of it, but this is the thing with the healing journey that I know you know that there's so many layers. There are
you
some
just keep digging.
just keep digging. There's
Yes.
it's like I love that mug. It's so cute. There are definitely some blocks or traumas or whatever you want to call it where you really do just have to address it and it's like, "Oh, that's not bothering me anymore." I've seen this in breathwork sessions. Someone will be so focused on this story looping in their head for 10 years. And then they actually sit with it and breathe through it and process it and feel this emotion that they've never allowed themselves to feel. And they can significantly move past this story, rewrite this story. So there are examples like that, but then there are deeper wounds where it's it's in different layers of your psyche, your life. Maybe it was a repetitive thing that happened throughout childhood. And so those can take some time and there really isn't any way to rush it or quantum leap through it. You can heal in one area and then it comes up in another. So I think part of why this is coming up more for me is it's my time to move through like the final pieces of it, I guess. So I definitely do need to do that, sit with it more and just get it out.
There is another piece of it, and I completely agree with you. Moving through these things, we can get past it, right? Healing isn't a never-ending journey. Sometimes you will move through something and you can be over it and healed and it's not bothering you anymore. And that's what we're striving towards for a lot of past patterns and stories. But sometimes, like you said, there are things that need to be worked through at a deeper level. And sometimes as you keep spiraling up in life and leveling up in life, that same issue comes back around to test, hey, are you really over me? And so it's not the universe punishing you. It's not the universe being like, hey, you're not past this yet. It's just a little bit of a test. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you learned these skills back here. Are you going to apply them now? And when you're conscious and you're thinking, then you apply it, then you keep going, and then it comes back again when you're in the new level in a different way, right? It's not always the same way. So maybe this anxiety that you're feeling is something coming back around again in new levels. And each time it's the same but different, and you have to kind of take a new approach to it. But there is also another piece that came up while you were talking. One part of it is the internal and the thought, right? Like, let's take money as an example. You mentioned um, if you ever had to take a break and maybe you got sick or you just had to take time off, you wouldn't feel supported by what you have because things aren't coming in and you're not active and you're not doing stuff, right? Is that accurate to
Yeah.
say?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if you could feel supported by your money, by the external side, right? What if you built up systems externally that would actually make it so that you could relax? Because I think that's possible. There's part of it is the internal, but part of it is the external. And creating systems, like people who build real wealth, they have systems in place where they know exactly where their money's going. They've invested it well, and they have this, like, I guess people call it a nest egg or a safety net, but it's just smart allocation of their funds. And it's just something that they've learned and it can be taught. And then your money is holding you instead of you always having it being equated to your labor and your time.
Right.
And on a practical business 3D level, those systems and that architecture also needs to be in place. It can't all just be, well, what's going on that I need to heal inside of me?
Right. For sure.
Ways to create that. I have a recommendation for people. There's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, and it's a very old book, and a million people have done a million variations of it, but it's a really good place to start with money and with systems that can hold you on this 3D physical level. One very basic lesson from the book, I think it has 7 structures or 7 pillars for how to manage your money. One is just allocate the funds. I think it's a 70-20-10 rule in the book, which is as soon as you get money, pay yourself first. That means put 10% of everything that comes in into a savings, long-term savings account.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that will go towards an asset. So keep saving that. Everything that comes in, you put 10% in its own little bucket, and eventually, maybe it will buy an income producing property. Maybe it will go into stocks. Maybe it will buy a car that you turn into a Lyft business. I don't know, right? There's a million ways, but the point is that money will go to something that is going to make you more money.
Yep.
20% goes to your debts. So 20% of everything that comes in goes to paying off your debts. So you don't have to do it little bit by little bit, but you can put it in one bucket on the side. And then if you have credit card debt or you have student loans or whatever it is, or you're still paying off a film, you can put 20% aside for that. And it ends up not being a stress. Like you end up paying off your debts super fast without even realizing it. The next thing you know, you have $10,000 saved up and you've paid off that debt and it wasn't even stressful for you.
Right.
And then 70% is what you live off of. So 70% of everything that comes in, that is for your living expenses, your food, your travel, your beauty products, hair masks, like whatever it is. Just comes out of that 70% of your income. Because a lot of people pay off all their expenses first and then they have nothing left to save. But if you do it this way, you put 10% to yourself into something that's going to make you money in the future, 20% to pay off your debts. And then once you've paid off all your debts, that could go also into building another asset, or it could go into expenses. That's up to you. Then you just live off of 70% of your paycheck. And some people will have to cut some things back initially, because they've been living off 100% of their paycheck. But if you can live off 70% for your expenses, you'll build yourself up and build your wealth in the future in a way so that it supports you and you create a sense of safety, and you don't have to constantly do in order to feel safe. How does that sit with you?
I've heard of the like 10% into savings and dividing it up that way, and I love that. But I forget.
Seem like you're not doing it.
No, I put it all to my expenses. I'm
Yeah.
paying off a lot of things, and so it just tends to mostly go to that. And I mean, I have to give my boyfriend a shout out because he helps with a lot of things. So that is nice.
Yay, yay him.
Yay
Very
for him.
nice. Nice provider
I love Lou.
masculine.
Um, but yes, that's another thing that came up for me in 2025 is during the whole debacles with the auditions, and I don't live in my apartment anymore, but I almost got evicted from my apartment. It was things that have never in my life happened. I pay rent early, I pay all my bills early, I am always on it. And last year was just the shit hit the fan. And I realized that I was cutting out pretty much any self-care that I normally do. I was just like, "Oh, that's stupid. That's a waste of money. I'm not doing those things anymore." But in the past, when I was doing those things and making sure that I was taking care of myself, this is more spiritual on the woo-woo spiritual side, I actually had more money coming in, but because I was operating from this like scarcity and not putting any money toward myself or my savings or whatever, it was impacting the money coming in significantly. So lots of lessons, lots of lessons.
Yeah, and that's on that spiritual level, and 100% money is a flow, right?
Yep.
And if you're constricted and tight, then it has trouble coming in. But if you see it as a flow and you've got like a faucet and you're just turning on the faucet and the water flows, so it flows out, but it also flows in.
Yeah.
And so I 100% agree, like taking care of yourself and doing those self-care things, that's not selfish, that's necessary. And letting the flow go out is important. But I would challenge you, because you already know this and you've got the spiritual and the 5D and the flow stuff figured out. But on a practical level, I would like to challenge you, when money comes in, to find a system. You got to make it a habit. Like when money comes in, 10%. And in America, banking is all online. And so it's really tough to see it as actual money because it's just numbers that float around in your like computer and your
Yeah.
phone. But banks do let you do buckets. They let you have multiple accounts. So you can find a way to do this. And I know some of them do, where you can kind of divide it up within your checking account. Or maybe you have to keep track of it in the Notes app on your phone and just say, this is what I actually have available for this. This is what's going to that. Or maybe you need to open up a savings account and just make sure the first thing, this isn't the last thing when there's extra. The first thing is 10% goes to you, goes to your long-term savings, because it's going to pay off. It builds up. 10% of everything that comes in. I challenge you, and I challenge listeners, viewers, to also do this. Put 10% away for yourself, your long-term savings that's going to build towards something. You don't have to know exactly what it is yet, but once it starts to build up, you can be like, ooh, where do I want to put this? Do I want to put this in stocks? Do I want to put this in an asset? What do I want to do with this? But just put it away first. You don't have to know where it's going. Then put 20% away towards your credit card, your debt, your whatever it is. If you don't have any debt, great, amazing. You can figure out something else to do with the 20%. I personally like to also put that into savings towards an asset, towards my future and building this generational wealth, but
Mhm.
you don't have to do that. And then the 70%, live off of that. Use that 70% for your pedicures, your manicures, your facials, your rent, and really stick within that 70% for the living expenses. And if you make it also a regular routine, personally, I sit with my money every week. I do accounting every week and I save my receipts and I see where my expenses are going. And it's easy where I am in Japan because everything is cash.
Mm.
So it's a cash-based system still here. So I pull money out of the bank and I divide it up literally into envelopes. But I've seen this in America too. Cash stuffing is a big thing and it's fun. Personally, I think it's fun. And you get really in touch with your money and with what's coming in instead of being like, I'm scared to look at it because that's a problem too. You're like, I'm scared to look at it. I don't want to know. It doesn't support you. But if you maybe literally go to the bank and withdraw it and start cash stuffing envelopes, and then you're like, okay, here's my 10% going here, here's my 20% here, here's my 70% here, and then I live off of this. Or maybe you leave the 70% in your bank account because you're using your debit card. You got to find a system that works for you. But I've found that sitting down with my money every week, keeping track, and then at the end of the month, I do a bigger tally. It's helped me create this sense of safety. It's helped me feel more relaxed around money. And that has made those moments when it feels like something's gone wrong and the universe is punishing me, feels like, oh, it's not the end of the world because I have this system that is still supporting me. So
Yeah.
I would challenge people to maybe read that book, but it can't all just be the spiritual side. How do you feel about that money challenge and about putting that into use practically? Do you think it's something that you possibly could do, that you feel called to do? And do you see how it might serve you?
Yeah, but I don't want to.
What's the resistance? Because probably there's a lot of people tuning in that feel the same.
Yeah. Lou does his budget every single day. He has this Excel sheet and he has all the little categories and he does his budget and he sent me the format and I've done it before and I actually really enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed sitting with it and but I started doing it I think in 2024 and then as we moved into 2025 and things started to get rough, I was like, it's the budget, it's the budget's fault. I blamed the budget and they blamed me being really careful with my money on everything that was going on.
Oh,
Which I do think that I was approaching it from the wrong energy, at least for part of it. But yeah, like if I'm being completely honest, I want to just of course, I want to take aligned action and I love being productive and I love what I do for my career. I truly feel like I'm in my purpose. But when it comes to the structure and the behind the scenes consistency gives me this feeling and there's a very deep resistance of no I just want it to all be figured out on the spiritual side and I don't care about the others.
what is that resistance about?
The resistance is about, again, to give a spiritual answer, it's definitely something with because everyone is feminine, masculine energy, and the masculine is technically more of the structure, the analytical, the consistency, all of that. And I just think that my inner masculine is still very wounded, and there's a lot of resistance to anything in that realm. And so I definitely need to look at that more because I got the woo-woo and the spiritual stuff all figured out. I mean, not all figured out. We'll never have it all figured out, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I do plenty of it.
I know.
I don't need to put more time into that. And then there's another voice that was like, well, when I have the money to put into this, this, and this, I'm happy to do it. So
Mm,
it's this thing of the lack of consistent income right now. So it's not like, okay, I know I'm getting paid every other week. So on that day, I
yes.
can put this, and this amount. I know the exact amount and I can do that. But there's a way, there's ways around it.
Yeah, and that's why it's more important when the money comes in, you allocate it right away. Maybe it doesn't have to be, oh, every 10th of the month or every second Monday. Maybe it's just when the money comes in. One thing spiritually we like to do is act as though it's already happening, right?
Mhm.
So maybe you do set up a money date for yourself consistently once a week, where even if nothing has come in, you sit down, you look at it 15 minutes, even 15
Yep.
minutes. Maybe you do a little research. Oh, where might I like to invest the money once it comes in? 15 minutes, sit down, look at your books, look at the numbers. When it comes in, I'm putting 10% here, 20% here. How do I set up the buckets? You just start to put the systems in place and the practice in place. And then that kind of creates the channel for the money to come in.
Yeah, that's something that I don't know if I was talking about this with you or if I was just sharing it on my Instagram story or both, but I haven't been doing my usual manifestation practices, those kind. So, yeah, those really do help me enjoy the structural part as well.
Yes, right. Those are manifestation practices, but they're also just very practical business practices.
Yep, it's very true.
Mm. I have one more thing to say that came up while you were talking, because you mentioned some of the stuff that happened, like almost being evicted and things like that. And just taking this back to our main topic of feeling like the universe is punishing us, I've come to realize, in a sense, as well, that feeling like we're being punished can be a trauma response. Do you recognize that at all?
For sure. I mean, I went to Catholic school for 18 years. Catholics love the punishment.
Right.
But
Yes.
yeah, I absolutely think that it's like waiting for someone to yell at you or be like, "You did it wrong," or "You should have done this instead." All of those voices and just kind of racking my brain of like, okay, what did I do wrong that made this happen?
Yes. Yes. I think when you've been conditioned like that and you've experienced chaotic relationships or emotional abuse or, yeah, literal punishments, and some very like strict, well, actually, most religious doctrines have this like punishing God instead of a, well, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of religious doctrines that have this punishment idea, right? And so then when things go wrong, yeah, your brain just immediately jumps to, well, what did I do wrong? What
Yeah.
what did I do? It's me, it's my fault. And we make it about ourselves when that's just like our bodies trying to make meaning out of the discomfort, right? And it's the only way that it knows how, based on the trauma that we've experienced in our personal lens.
1000%. Do you relate to that as well?
Yes, I think especially with the relationship that I was just in, right? Because there was always a punishment factor. And so I'm still untangling it, but it is getting better. But there was a bit of untangling from, yeah, I'm not being punished for, oh, if you've got a cat tail coming into the screen. So,
Lucky
Maki, it's
baby.
Maki Muck.
Boy. He's like,
Want to go? Maki says hi, everybody. Untangling, questioning the universe or God or life in general from our past traumas, because not everything is a divine test as well. I think that's something that's important to remember. Two things can be true. Yes, in a we can be exposed to patterns that are trying to show us a lesson that we need to learn, but also not everything is a lesson from the universe, you know?
yeah, I go back and forth with that one too because I do believe everything is kind of happening for some reason. I don't think things coincidentally happen, but I think it's dangerous. Dangerous is a dramatic word, but it's harmful. Most things be the same. To always be thinking about it because then we're just in our heads all the time. So I guess it's feeling it more so. And I think the more we feel into why something has come up or triggered us in the first place, and the less we have to do that because we're healing like the underlying triggers. And so when the same situation comes up again, like the tests that you were talking about earlier, because you've regulated, and like we're saying, you're not going to be in this regulated Zen place all the time, but you're in this more calm space where you can come at it like, oh, okay, yep, I see this. I see why this is happening. And no, I'm not going to do that. And it may still be challenging, it may still be tempting, but it's the awareness and the knowing and the previous processing that allows that response. Because we don't want to be running in the bathroom to do breath work for 3 minutes every single time someone gives us a dirty look or cuts us off in traffic or whatever. That is not the vibe.
Would it be safe to say that's trust? That comes down to trusting the universe, trusting God, trusting yourself, that everything has its place, everything has its meaning. Is that sort of what it comes down to, or something different?
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it. Absolutely. Instead of going up into our head of how is this going to happen? Why did this happen? What did I do wrong? It's okay, this is happening. It feels uncomfortable. I don't have all the information right now,
Mm.
but more will be revealed.
Right. We don't always have to know.
Yes, that's a big one. That's the control part of I want to know so I can know the outcome and I can plan for it and I can, that whole thing, and which is valid. On one hand, it has allowed us as humans to get to this point. All of the controlling and the planning and the ego brain coming in, but then it's become more of a hindrance in today's world too, because we don't need the constant in most parts of not all parts of the world, but I don't even know if it's most. But for those of us living in safer parts of the world, we don't have
Right.
to constantly be looking over our shoulder and thinking everyone's out to get us and all of that in order to survive. And that actually keeps us small and hidden and
Mm.
stuck.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of information in this episode. Now everyone knows my financial situation.
We got right into it. Just, hey, everybody. So let's see, financials, abuse, like, here we are. Well, I think we plan to show up with authenticity and honesty and transparency. So I always feel like an open book, maybe too much so, but here we are.
No, no such thing. And people people relate. When you're being authentic, the people who relate find you.
Yeah. Guess let us know if you can relate, if you have similar um, patterns showing up in your life, similar money conversations, similar situations that feel like the universe is punishing you. What does it feel like when you're asking the universe, why are you punishing me? When you're asking God, why? What did I do to deserve this? Please tell us what you're going through because we'd love to support you. And we appreciate people being here and supporting us because, yeah, the more people are in it together, like humans have this amazing capacity to synergize and to work together. And so let's all stay connected.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll include in the show notes any books or different things we mentioned, so you can find those there.
Yes. Okay. And we'll be back next week
Yes,
with
thank you
another
all so
episode.
much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.